Welcome again to Optimal Play, where we have, for some reason, decided to continue playing Legacy of Dragonholt together. It's not escaped, but drove goblins out of the mines.
They escaped
successfully.
frankly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And we, for some reason...
I'm sorry, are you mad that we didn't commit genocide?
Yeah.
I am mad that we didn't at least cause any explosions.
As someone who has the military skill, I wish we could have taken further advantage of it.
Okay.
Continue.
We still have explosives.
We're still holding on to them.
We're just walking around town with this dynamite now.
Yeah.
We're off to a good start.
After our last smashingly successful quest, we were back in Dragonholt Village. It told us to read entry 4832 to start off. So, without further ado, you find your step light as you descend from the hills and past the mill on your way back into Dragonholt. Fiore's harried apprentice, Brill, meets you on the road and leads you straight back to his mistress. "You're back," says Fiore, setting aside a sheaf of yellowing papers. "Tell me everything." You summarize your adventure in the mine, being sure to highlight the involvement of Splig, and end by declaring the claim free of goblins and ready to resume operations. "Splig, eh?" asks Fiore. "Is that a name I should know about?" She shakes her head, fingering the silver chain around her neck. "Well, good work. I had a feeling I could count on you."
There's so much fingering in this game.
There is kind of a lot, yeah. She gestures to her apprentice, who places an iron strongbox on the table beside her. She unlocks it and removes a heavy felt bag that clinks and clinks as she presses it into your hands. "We had a bargain, and I'm a woman of my word." She snatches up her crutch and stands. "Brill, Bozarth," she calls. Then she turns to you. "I'd very much like to sit around and toast your victory, but apparently I have a lot of work to do getting that mine up and running again." She grins and stomp drags away. You gain 150 gold.
Oh, yeah!
I assume that stomp drags was describing the way someone walks with a cane or something.
Stomp, drags. Stomp, drags. Stomp,
Yeah.
drag. Yeah, stomp, drags.
Okay, that checks out.
Yeah, it tracks.
That takes us from 125 to 275 gold.
We're rich.
My good God.
Mark 2 progress in heroism, 1 progress in combat training, and 1 progress in physical training. Wow, okay, so heroism, 2 progress.
Damn, we are heroic.
Yeah, we are.
That's true.
1 progress in combat training, taking us up to 4 out of 6.
They will write songs about us.
And 1 progress in physical training.
Theremin-based songs.
Theremin-based songs.
Mark story point U2.
You too.
Man, I can't get the U2, that default U2 album off my phone.
Still? Is that still a thing?
Isn't that from like
It is.
5 years
I just
ago?
got a new
I feel like
iPhone.
it's like 10
They
years
still
ago.
have U2 on the iPhones?
I had just figured out how to delete
Wait,
it from my
don't
last
you
one.
have an iPhone?
It's a work phone.
So they get rid of U2?
Yeah, they don't.
U2's not
So-
allowed for the American government?
Yeah.
The American government doesn't care for U2?
They're Scottish. They're Scottish bastards.
They're Irish, and that
Oh.
you need to cut that out, because if somebody finds out that this woman thinks that U2 is Scottish, I don't want to be married to her anymore.
Wait. So you're fine being married to her unless someone finds out?
Unless someone finds out. Yes, appearances are everything.
Cool.
I can't defend her every waking moment of the day if the whole world thinks that she
I didn't
thinks...
realize that you were so passionate about Scottish rock band U2.
Think of the Reddit.
Think of the Reddit! Thank you.
2 time passes.
Just now because of that fight.
That is the U2 effect.
This encounter is complete. Now it's still day 1. We left at 5 time of day 1 and 2 time passed we were in the mine and while you 2 argued. So we're up to 7 out of 8 times. So it's night and we are back in the town and we can choose a place to go.
So one of the things I will say, not for now, but for tomorrow morning, I wrote that we need to go to the Willow Grove at day 2 anytime after 2 time has passed.
Oh,
Or
okay.
day 6 after 6 time has passed.
You didn't write why?
Nope. We didn't know why, I don't think.
Oh,
It was
okay.
just there's something going on in the
Oh yeah,
Willow
there was
Grove.
like a poster or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Event on day 3, market day and village bonfire. But we're nowhere near day 3.
Not day 3.
No.
Need war room to commission. So if we think the smith is open, we could try that.
I doubt it. I bet we go there
She
tomorrow
literally
morning.
just said she was leaving to go reopen the mine, so.
Oh, she was the blacksmith, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So last time we did a lot of...
Then I know what I'm doing in the city.
Wait, what happens when you
Let's
do
take the
it?
mushrooms and go to the
I
bar.
read this entry.
Yeah, would you recap what that is and what it
So
says?
I have a strange mushroom that I collected in the Goblin Cave. This mushroom glows from beneath its cap and produces a terribly pungent scent. Could it be poisonous? Instead of choosing a location in the village, you can eat this strange mushroom by reading passage 7549.
Only a 19-year-old elf with no name would be like, let me eat this random
When
mushroom.
you
I
got
found.
nothing, you got
Random
nothing to
glowing
lose.
mushroom.
It's not a
I
random
found.
mushroom, it's a strange mushroom.
A strange mushroom I found in a goblin-infested cave that's glowing and
So-
could be poisonous.
Right.
I mean,
It's like the option is go to the Drunken Hog and watch Brandon sing, or do this
Wa-
mushroom.
Fair
Or
enough.
watch Ryan trip out on shrooms.
That's a good segue because I was going to say these bars that we were trying to go to, including the one I'm set to perform at, should be open now.
Do you remember which one you're set to perform at?
The Drunken Hog, but
Call that.
but we also another bar is the Chatty Archer that we tried to swing by and
What's
also
the
got turned away in the morning. So
What's the Swan? Did we visit the Swan?
The Swan isn't that the inn? Oh no, that's the Countess Inn.
no, yeah, I think the Swan was the inn that like
That
Miriam
we were at.
had us stay at and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wrote Chatty Archer potential names. I don't know why.
I don't know whether you were thinking.
Oh, you wanted to go there because you're an archer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was before we found out it was a bar.
It was a bar. Yes, that was
But-
it. I'm
but-
gonna cross that out.
But you still might want to go. Okay, so
Are you like scheduled to perform? Are there going to be negative consequences if we don't go to the Drunken Hog?
no,
today?
that was all just me making my characters.
Oh.
No, I think it's very important that we go. We don't want to leave his fans waiting.
Yeah, but like again,
There's some
we
of
could
these-
also watch Ryan trip.
Some of these goblins.
I mean,
may
you don't have a
come
choice,
back
but
home.
before 4 turns pass, you will watch me trip.
We could do that. I kind of remember when there was like 0 time pass in the morning, things not being open yet. So he could eat those shrooms in the morning.
The whole
But
day.
what if we lose a whole day?
There's, it's gonna be like 8 time passes.
3
8
days.
time passes and you wake up naked in the orchard.
Then we can do my day 3 thing.
Okay. Do you want to eat the shrooms?
Yeah.
All right.
No, wait, hold on. No, we're gonna lose some time. I think we go to the Drunken Hog and then
if
eat the
it-
mushrooms.
My understanding is that time doesn't like. So there's only 1 time left on this day. I don't think that we can like spill over into the next day's time because there's passage straight at the end of the day. So I think if it's going to cost us 4 time, now is the time.
Yeah, because then it only actually costs us 1 time.
No, but it still costs us 1 opportunity to see the Drunken Hog because we can't
That
visit
is
the Drunken
correct.
Hog
Yes.
until the next day.
Yeah, just go to the Drunken Hog.
Maybe this room doesn't take any time. We don't.
Maybe.
know.
That's the other thing.
It might just kill me. Like, we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might just be he loses all his stamina.
I vote
I
Drunken
have a
Hog.
health. I have a potion.
Oh, there you go.
Shane, you're outnumbered.
All right, shrooms it is. It sounds like.
You
You're outnumbered,
Yeah.
old man.
millennials and their drugs.
All
She's
right.
Gen Z.
Yeah, so you are eating
I
the
think I am,
mushroom
too.
by reading entry
19?
7549.
19 and 20. Yeah, 19 is Gen
Yeah.
Z.
That's it.
Just took the shroom, you guys.
Whoa.
The mushroom tastes like bitter, chalky earth, and you wonder as you force the last bite down your throat why you thought this was a good idea. You're just rinsing the taste from your mouth with water when the poison takes hold. It comes over you like a rushing wind, knocking you to your knees and knifing through your gut like a wound. But the pain only lasts an instant, and the wind continues to roar, tearing you from the ground and from your body, scattering you like autumn leaves across all of Eventide Forest. You feel yourself gathered up by an infinitely patient force and placed gently back inside yourself. After a while, the wind dies down, and you find yourself lying on your back in the middle of the village green. A few passing villagers give you odd looks, but you appear to be unharmed.
Are you naked?
In fact, you feel somehow larger than yourself. You lose 1 strange mushroom item.
Aww.
That's not that surprising.
Yeah.
You did eat it.
Mark a total of 3 progress, divided as you choose among academic study, combat training, physical training, social practices, and or spiritual meditation.
Whoa.
If you feel
Okay.
like spiritual meditation is the most apt. But
That's on the back of the book. Don't lose your place.
Okay.
Take a look at the back.
So is it all of them?
It's a- how many?
It's
no,
all.
we
Of,
get to split 3 amongst.
Yeah.
it's all of these. What they do is once we max them out, then we can learn new skills, kind of that are relevant to that type.
Do Do we want to max this one? Combat
I
training?
feel like if we get combat training after basically every quest because we do combat,
Yeah, that seems like.
it seems like a waste.
I bet the spiritual one would help us get runes, right?
Or
We
we
do all three.
no, academic study is runes.
Oh.
Should we just do academic study?
Ultimately, it's up to you, Ryan. You ate the
I don't know.
shrooms.
I don't know. I really don't think I was out there learning much, but
You
Yours-
learned through nature.
Okay.
You're having an epiphany.
we got 3 academic study.
You saw the world for what it really was, man.
Time passes,
Okay.
and this encounter is complete.
All right. So cross off that 8th box.
All in all, that was a pretty good trip.
Yeah. Flip over
Yeah.
your token because that was your encounter. True. Yeah. Despite the text talking about the poison taking hold and everything, that's pretty good. I bet that was better than we would have done going to a bar.
I disagree. As someone who's drinking a beer, I disagree.
Fair enough. So this says, when 8 time has passed in day 1, read entry 3877. You return to your room and turn in for the night, collapsing into sleep almost immediately. Your dreams are strange and unsettled, full of lurking threats and the shadow of wings falling across the land cast by a roaring fire. You wake in the middle of the night, cross to your window, and look out across the sleeping village by moonlight. Eventually, you sleep again and dream of an endless forest and a plaintive voice calling for you.
And a small naked elf running through the village.
You each recover half of your maximum stamina. That's great, because I had 2 stamina left, so now I'm up to 8.
Can I be over my max?
I was gonna say, can
No.
I give you my extra?
Now, the word maximum means that it's the most you can have.
Well, that's why I said, can I give you
Not
my
according
extra?
to extra credit, Brandon.
Touche.
You just don't see the world the same way Ryan does.
Yeah.
Not after
Not
that
after that.
Some of us
experience.
just had quite a night.
You each refresh your activation token.
Oh,
Yeah, Ryan actually recovers.
I'm
so
back,
much
baby.
This chapter of the story ends here. Well, that's going to do it for today. No, I don't think we'll actually end the video here, but it's going to be considered a new chapter after this. When you're ready to begin the next chapter, read entry 3432, and it has a little rules sidebar here. Chapters and taking breaks. The end of each day marks the end of a chapter in the story. The end of a chapter is a great time to take a break. You might wish to stop playing for now and pick up from here at a later date. If so, record the entry number that you have been directed to on the story tracking sheet so you can pick up where you left off next time you play. Anyone need a break and to come back at a later date?
No.
After 10
No.
minutes? No.
All right, then 3432 it is. You wake the next morning a bit later than usual. Probably your fault. Greeted again by the smell of freshly baked bread and seasoned meats.
Did we wake up in the bakery?
I don't think
Covered in dough.
so.
What happened?
In the oven.
Unless Miriam is hanging out there now, because as you dress yourself, you can hear Miriam's voice above the other patrons coming from the common room, our favorite.
Fucking Miriam.
You step out of your room and head down to breakfast. Miriam, Braxton,
Braxton!
and Sapphire are sitting together as usual, and the younger gnome waves you over. You greet them and take your seat, serving yourself a plate of delicious-looking food. Braxton has apparently asked Sapphire about the great oak and eventide forest. Oh, you must be talking about the Tree of Tales, answers Sapphire. That old oak has been there for centuries, according to the stories. The people of Dragonholt say that a benevolent spirit lives in that tree. Sapphire stops to take a drink of her tea before continuing. There's a custom in Dragonholt to tell your tales to the spirit, whether spoken or written. They say you will be blessed with good fortune if the spirit is moved by your story. Some of the villagers have taken to leaving gifts for the spirit as well, in hopes of gaining its admiration, I suppose. Fascinating, says Braxton. Miriam frantically scribbles something on a piece of parchment and pockets it. When Braxton looks at her curiously, Miriam says, "Just making a note to myself." Braxton raises an eyebrow, and an almost imperceptible grin crosses Sapphire's lips.
Sorry, where was that tree? And what's it called?
I think
Eventide Forest.
We saw it when
Did
we were
we?
in the forest.
Isn't is that not where we took the wooden trinket from?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Probably
Not the
so.
tree that we
The Great
climbed?
Oak and Eventide Forest.
Yeah, we got a wooden trinket from there, I think. Okay, our options are: ask Miriam and Braxton about their plans for the day. Ask
Right.
Sapphire about the
Oh,
wooden
yeah.
trinket you found. Requires wooden trinket. Ask if there are any special events coming up, or finish your breakfast and prepare for the day ahead.
I want to ask about my trinket.
Oh, breakfast sounds nice, you
I
guys.
think
I want to know about my trinket.
Okay.
We watched you shroom. I get to learn about my trinket.
Can't we just have a nice breakfast?
No.
I'm famished. I was in a forest all night.
You produce a small bundle of cloth and unwrap it, revealing the wooden trinket you found at the Tree of Tales. Oh my, breathes Sapphire. May I? You nod, and she carefully lifts the trinket, examining the craftsmanship. She turns it over in her hand and giggles when she sees the letters etched into the wood. As I thought, she says, and returns the trinket. This is most certainly carved by Theodore. Have you met him? He's a very kind, elderly human man. He's lived in this village his whole life. Theo opened the woodworking shop in the market when he was a young man, but he's been retired for a while now. He comes by the Swan for breakfast or lunch on occasions, but he spends most of his time at the Chatty Archer or in the market. Even after retiring, he's still whittling every day. The bell signals someone entering the Swan, and Sapphire stands. I'm sure Theo will be happy to see that particular piece again, she says before running off to greet the new patron. You return to your room to retrieve what you'll need for the day ahead. Is story point V6 marked?
It is not.
V6? No.
V6. Okay, otherwise read entry 9317. As you're tidying your room, you hear a gentle knock on your door. Too gentle to be Miriam or Braxton. But the knock is not followed by Sapphire's voice either. Instead, a voice you haven't heard in many years speaks your name. You open the door to find a tall elf woman, wrapped almost entirely in an ivy green cloak. You recognize her immediately as your former traveling companion. Celise!
Oh!
Thank the stars you're here! Exclaims Celise in a... Thank the stars you're here! Exclaims Celise in a hushed tone as she sweeps into your room and closes the door behind her. I heard a rumor that new travelers had come to Dragonholt, and I hoped it would be you. I have much I need to tell you, but I felt it unwise to put it into plain writing. 5682. I'm glad you came, says Celise. There's trouble afoot, and I'm getting too old for trouble. Celise doesn't look a day older than when you met her, but then again, she is an elf. It says, I believe her that someone is plotting against the noble family here, but it's, I think, supposed to be, I believe that someone is plotting against the noble family here. You might already know that the local lord is Lady Regina Fairfax, Countess of Dragonholt. She had, up until recently, 3 children, Sonia, Rochelle, and Philip. Regina is sick. These are very, interesting names.
I was going to say those seem like really, kind of
basic,
normal, real-world names.
That's why it's interesting for Dragonholt.
Yeah.
Regina is sick. She seems a little young to me to be dying already, but humans will do that on you, I suppose.
Rude.
So her daughter, Sonia, was poised to inherit the country. But Sonia came to me and said she had received a letter from her uncle Kyric, Regina's brother. That sounds more right.
Mm.
Kyric demanded that Sonia renounce her position and support Kyric's claim to Regina's seat. Sonia refused him, of course. Days later, continues Celise, Sonia fell from her horse, struck her head on a rock, and died. Not suspicious on its own, perhaps, but Sonia was an excellent writer. She was alone in the forest when it happened. I became concerned that Kyric had murdered her. I shared my suspicions with Timothy, Regina's steward. Is that right? Timothy. Regina's steward. And that night, as I returned to my bedroom, a heavy statue in the gallery toppled over and nearly killed me. Celise closed her eyes and leans back, resting her head. So I fled. I'd already sent the letter to you, so I hid it in the village, waiting. Now we mark story point V6.
So that was just to get this out.
To make sure we hadn't met her yet.
Yeah. All right, Celise stands, brushing down her cloak and taking a deep breath. But nothing unusual has happened since then, and Philip and Rochelle remain safe. It would seem the situation is not as dire as I had suspected. For now, I think it wise for you to acquaint yourself with the villagers and gain their trust. We'll need them on our side if it comes to a struggle for leadership. But right now, I will go straight to Lady Regina and tell her everything. Will you come with me? So our options are, of course, Celise, let's go now, or go on your own. I have other business to attend to.
Well, we haven't finished breakfast yet.
So after that whole thing with the
I think
hidden,
we have finished breakfast.
after that whole thing with the hidden message in the letter, she's saying, actually, it's not that urgent a situation.
I think she thinks it's not as urgent of a situation, but it sounds like it actually is urgent.
Should we go with her?
Well, I think she thought it was urgent. Now she's not sure if it's urgent, but it still could be urgent. So
This
I think
is-
we should go.
Literally the whole reson we came to this village.
Fair point.
We do need to go to the smithy.
And I also need to find out about my wooden trinket.
I kind of think we remember a lot of stuff not opening until a couple time had passed.
Yeah,
so.
and until it's afternoon. It's still, I think, pretty early in the morning.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Shane, you
Shane's
want to take
pretty
it?
good with
I would
voices.
love- You mean Zadie?
No shame.
Zadie's not reading. Zadie probably can't read.
Zadie can read. He spent this much time. He's 87. He's proud of himself. All right, 54, 55.
He can certainly read his character sheets.
That's true. He knows that
He has the following skills.
Oh, interesting. All right.
It's got to be like 87 and a half by now.
You go with Celeste to Fairfax Manor, where a middle-aged human woman in servant's livery opens the door for you with an expression of surprise.
Livery or livery?
Are we doing this again?
You go with Celeste to Fairfax Manor, where a middle-aged human woman in servant's livery opens the door for you with an expression of surprise. I must speak with the Countess at once, Matilda, says Celeste. Matilda only nods and ushers you upstairs, where Regina's audience chamber lies in the manor's ancient round tower. The Countess's enormous black throne is empty, but the Countess is seated on a carpet by one hearth. She is a human woman of middling years with fair skin and enormous green eyes, almost luminescent in a face more lined by pain than by age. The Countess has a round hoop in her lap, a piece of intricate needlework. "Milady," says Celeste. "Celeste," says Regina, "I had wondered if you had quit my service. Please introduce us."
Can you do it with a more British accent?
Oi, please introduce us.
Like a regal British accent.
Please introduce us.
There it is.
Yeah, nailed it.
Celeste bows and introduces you. Regina inclines her head, but makes no effort to rise. "What brings you to me today, my friend?"
We're not going to regret this at all.
I don't.
With many pauses to word her story as diplomatically as possible, Celeste shares the same suspicions with Regina that she had shared with you. As she speaks, a rail-thin man in a ruffled tunic slips into the room to stand silently at Regina's side. "Yes?" says Regina at length. "Timothy told me much of this the day that you disappeared. Was it Timothy?"
She sounds like she's in Monty Python.
Yeah, she does.
She offers one hand to the man in the ruffled shirt, who helps her to her feet with perfect form. "Yes, milady. I was not sure what to make of Miss Celeste's suspicions, but I reported them dutifully." Regina crosses to her throne and sits with a sigh. She gestures to Timothy and points to a writing desk against the wall. "Timothy! The book in the drawer there!" He goes and fetches a slim leather-bound volume. "This is Sonia's journal. I have not read it. There are things that a mother should not know about her daughter, I think. But you
She's the queen.
Sorry. I don't know the direction that this narration is taking place. Let me try it again.
It literally sounds like the old lady that,
In any Monty Python skit.
not Terry Gilliam, the other one.
Terry. Yeah, the other Terry.
But it sounds like him as
Yeah.
a woman.
It's gonna be the same one. Regina crosses to her throne and sits with a sigh. She gestures to Timothy and points to a writing desk against the wall. "Timothy! The book in the drawer there!" He goes and fetches a slim leather-bound volume. "This is Sonia's journal. I have not read it. There are things that a mother should not know about her daughter, I think. But you must do, my friends. I do not want to believe that my brother would stoop so reprehensible a crime as kinslaying, but I will not risk my children on the hope that Kyrick is still the honourable man who stood aside for me when our father named me heir over him." She presses the book into your hand. "We gain Sonia's journal."
Oh,
Yes, we
that's
do.
that's a physical thing that's
That's
in the
a
box.
physical thing.
Thank you, I said that.
Thank you, Timothy and Regina.
So Sonia's journal, what's that? What is that?
Well, do we want
Well,
to finish?
if we, looking a little bit farther down, it says you may read and refer back to the journal at any time once we finish this encounter. So we still have a couple of paragraphs of gripping dialogue.
Did you
All
mark?
right.
Did you mark P8?
No. Mark story point P8.
I think you meant Mark Story Point P8.
Regina is not saying this. "So, please, read it. Perhaps it contains some clues as to Sonia's fate, and perhaps you might prevent Rochelle and Philip from falling prey to similar doom." She waves a hand, and Timothy rushes forward to shepherd you from the room. "Her ladyship tires easily these days," he says.
The
Thank
contrast
you.
in our voices is insane.
"Her ladyship tires easily these days," he says. "Thank you. We will speak again." Celeste frowns as she walks you to the door. "So Timothy isn't the traitor after all. Or perhaps he's covering. Or perhaps there's no traitor, just rotten luck. She shakes her head and opens the door. Read that book, and make it a point to get to know the locals. I will call upon you when you are needed. 2 time passes.
Ooh.
This encounter is complete. We now possess Sonia's journal. You may read and refer back to the journal at any time.
So,
Wow.
I'm not feeling like we want to sit here on video reading that whole thing. It looks like it's a dozen pages or so.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a lot. The one thing I will note is that the days are all weird. So Sunday is still a thing, but then there's Sky Day, Rune Day, Water Day, Moon Day, Fire Day, instead of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Yeah, I
Friday.
assume that's just the days of the week in Terranoth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
but-
just dumb.
Dang.
Water
Noted,
Day.
Yeah. All right, so 2 time passed. Did we mark that yet?
No, we have not.
No, so the morning is about through. The encounter's over.
I will say the other thing too that's kind of helpful if we don't want to sit here and read all of it is not only do they like contain entries, but they also say where it takes place. So Fairfax Manor, Tree of Tales, the Countess Inn. So if we decide to go to one of those
That's-
locations, then we can read that particular entry.
Probably some of the most important. Yeah, if you want to keep skimming that while we go to the blacksmith, that's probably pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Do we want to go to the blacksmith or do we want to go to the, what is it, Willow
Yeah,
Grove
the
that you
Willow
put on?
Grove.
Wait, did you put it on there?
I put it
That's
on.
Willow Grove.
Day 2.
I think that was another like expedition though.
What time on day 2?
Anytime after 2.
Okay, so anytime after now. I think we could go to the blacksmith first.
Sounds good.
Let's roll.
So the smithy is 5780.
All right, back to the smithy. At the end of the market row stands a low building with a gray slate roof and a thick chimney, the smithy. The workshop portion of the building sports cupboard walls easily opened to let in cooler air when the furnace is in use, while a brownstone annex hosts what you presume are living quarters, offices, storage, and other necessities for the smith's trade. A polished silver hammer hangs from a wrought iron signpost outside the front door, inscribed with Dunwar characters. A bronze plaque is set into the wall, with the same legend written in the common tongue, Fiore Brightmall Smith. If 5 or less time has passed today, read 7743.
Sounds like it's open?
Yep.
Let's get you a rune sword. Except wait, he's the archer. Let's get one of us a rune sword, not
Let's get
necessarily
somebody,
him.
not him.
Let's not go crazy.
Yeah, I feel like you guys haven't proven yourself worthy of this
I
episode.
have. Military.
Alright.
Military paid off. He has not.
If I had a sword instead of just fighting with music, maybe I'd
Right.
accomplish something.
I've heard
Well,
that
your
one
only
before.
fighting skill is brawling, which doesn't require the use of a sword.
All right. A hot wind blows around you as you duck into the workshop. The roar of the furnace is punctuated by loud clangings and the in and out breathing of the bellows. If this is your first time, it's not. If story point N1 is marked, but R5 is not.
No, N1 is not marked.
Okay. Otherwise, 4422.
Also, I have exciting news about Sonia whenever you get a break.
Ooh. Okay, after this, we'll check in on the status of the journal.
Fiore directs your attention to her stockroom, which is directly adjoining the workshop and filled with useful items. Trivets and nails and horseshoes, of course, but also swords, daggers, coats of mail, a vicious-looking warhammer, and a wide selection of other implements of the adventuring trade. Or I'm available for special commissions, of course, she adds, idly fondling her silver necklace.
Not fingering
She's
that.
not fingering it, she's just fondling. Well,
It's not much better.
well, Bazarth is. What? Well, Bazarth is.
Bozarth is available for special commissions, I guess.
He's a journeyman. His rates are much more affordable than mine. She laughs. Here's what I want. Contract Fiore to forge a magical sword requires war ruin item. Read 8726.
Do it.
Let me see that. Fiore takes the rune shard from you and holds it up to the light, turning it slowly to examine it from all angles. She shifts her chair towards a nearby table, then places the rune on the wooden surface and scrabbles about a bit for a piece of paper and a stick of charcoal. With a few quick strokes, she takes a rubbing of the rune, which she sets aside. I'm no rune master, but I think this is the draconic glyph for war, she says. She sketches for a moment, humming quietly, then nods at the cross guard with a thread of silver running the length of the blade. Yes, I believe I can work with this. She returns her attention to you. With this, I can forge you the finest sword you'll ever see in your life, and I'll do the work myself. None of my apprentices are up to the task. 150 gold is my fee. She takes up the rune and presents it to you. What do you say?
So conveniently,
We
her
also got 158 gold.
her price is exactly what she paid us for doing her quest.
Yeah. So yes,
But I'm all for it. Sure, we're down to 125 again then.
read entry 5237. You won't regret it, says the dwarf with a grin. She takes your money and the rune and places it in an iron box, which she closes and locks before turning the silver key into her smock. Brill, she calls, and the young dwarf apprentice comes running. Run to the stores and bring me a 10 weight of black iron and a single bar of bright mall silver. The apprentice rushes off and Fiore reaches for her crutch again. I'll get started right away. Come back tomorrow. I may have something for you.
We have to come back tomorrow?
Yeah.
Will you make a note?
Yeah. And then
Well,
we
is this-
lose the war rune. Mark story point N1.
See, there's the one I checked for when we came.
Time passes,
Okay.
and this encounter is complete.
All right. So one time passes on there.
So super important news about Sonia, guys.
Yeah. What did we learn about Sonia?
She's a lesbian.
Oh, salacious.
Yeah, apparently Timothy wants her to take a husband, and she responded, "And what if I prefer a wife, Timothy? Did you consider that, I wonder?" And then every time they talk about potential mates of her, she talks about how gross they are. So, that's good to know.
All right.
That's all I got.
That's
Okay, I don't know
valuable.
how we
So
can use
what
that.
quests should go on with that information?
I got nothing. I also can't remember where I was supposed to go to find out the guy talking about my wooden trinket.
The market
market
or the Chatty Archer. And
Oh, the Chatty Archer doesn't open until
since
the
it's
evening.
only three time out of 8, I think the market. If we wanted to go chase that thread.
I will
You-
say that a lot of stuff happens. I haven't read all of it, but it's the Tree of Tales, so it might be worthwhile. But it's also
Where's the Tree of Tales?
isn't that where we got
No,
the
is
wooden
that
trinket?
in
Yeah,
Eventide
we
Forest?
saw it in the forest quest, and it's where we got that trinket.
But it's also not my decision to make because I already made my decision.
Oh, you have. Okay, it's me and Shane are left to take
Yeah.
an encounter here.
Because I chose to follow Celise.
I kind of lean towards checking out that Willow Grove since that's a time sensitive.
Yeah,
Right.
my only concern is now that we're at 3 time, I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be 2 time or 3 time.
I would be shocked if it has to be a specific time because sometimes 2 time passes and it could just breeze by. Like,
Yeah.
I bet it's after 2.
We can go.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's a Willow Grove.
why don't I use my encounter to go to the Willow Grove? 1790. The road leading south out of the village splits around a large grove of willow and oak trees. The villagers seem to treat the grove as a sort of park or meeting spot. There are almost always children playing among the trees or families enjoying the sun and the breeze. Oh wow! How about that? It says if it is day 2 and exactly 2 time has passed today, then read this passage. Then there's another one for if it is day 5 and if it is day 6 and 6 or more time has passed. So
Okay. That's what I was worried about.
I blew it.
Eggs on your face.
Yeah, I didn't think it would matter.
Bad news, guys.
Okay, but it's also day 5?
Yeah, day 5 is another.
Day
I mean,
5 is wider.
We don't know that anything like special happens. It just says like if it is this.
Yeah, I
Time,
remember
read this
when we
passage.
were at like the Village Green or something where they have the bulletin board. That's where we got that information, but I don't remember what it was.
Okay, well, otherwise read entry 1370. Man, I can't believe it was exactly 2 time. I'm sad we missed that. 1370 is probably just going to be nothing that useful.
Another bad call from Thran landowner.
Terrain
Yeah.
landowner.
Uh,
Turns out rock stars not very good party members.
Or not very smart.
From 1370, we can either head to the mine to the south, which is the one we already did.
Which we
quest
already
at, or return to the village.
Return to the village.
Should we go back and make sure everything's still kosher down there?
I mean, you never know if Splig has taken back over
I
overnight.
feel like we got other fish to fry.
Okay. Well, that was my encounter then. Go me. Who else
Shane.
Shane.
wants to do
Just
something?
me.
Oh yeah, Shane is
And
up.
we're on no time passed?
No time passed there.
I think time only passes if you have an actual encounter. In
If
a
something
location. If you just
happens,
show up
yeah.
and you can't do anything, then
Do we think we can go to the Drunken Hog for day drinks?
no.
No.
Or the,
I'm almost positive we can't.
or the Archer?
So I think the only like thread that we have to follow now is the market, which I assume is Market Street on this map.
Yeah, there's also, I mean, I remember them, I can't remember if it's the Village Green or the Village Hall. They have the postings
Yeah.
about what's going on.
And there's just some places we haven't been yet, like the shrine.
The library, the orchard.
Yeah.
Have you been to the dragon statues?
We did when we came in.
Did we?
That's how we came in.
We like passed them. Yeah, that's right. Kind of on the way in from the forest.
I want to go to the library. I'm ready to read. It's
Okay.
been a long adventure.
Read.
The village library is large for a village of the size of Dragonholt. Features an antechamber, a main room with rows of bookshelves, and a few side rooms. On most days, one of the side rooms is used as a classroom for the village youths. If 4 or fewer time has passed today, read entry 2005. The library's main hall features a tall writing desk underneath a window set in the ceiling and 4 walls covered in shelves full of books. Perched atop a stool at the writing desk is a gray-robed, gray-haired human woman spattered with ink, her quill scritching as she carefully copies out another letter. If it is day 1, nope. If it is day, nope. If it is day, nope.
What days?
Yeah, do you want to jot this down
Yeah.
too?
Okay, so day 6 and day 7 each have something. The librarian glances at you, then returns her attention to the page. A gray tabby cat drops down from a nearby bookshelf, pauses a moment to stretch, and then brushes against your leg. All right, we have an action, so I guess we all recover. Spend some time doing research or studying. Ask if there is any work that can be done. Donate your collected books to the library. Requires story point K1.
We don't have that.
Do not have. Leave the library.
My guess is if we do the studying, we'll increase that.
And we haven't refreshed our tokens in the town. It's each time an encounter is complete. That those
Oh.
are updated. You're reading even through the decisions.
Oh, so now it's
Yeah.
so now I.
So this is your decision. Do you want to spend time doing research?
I'm gonna ask if there's any work that can be done.
Sure.
All right, 7268. The librarian gestures to an untidy stack of books on a table in the middle of the room. These need to be sorted and reshelved, she says. People are so inconsiderate sometimes, just leaving the books lying around. There's also some work to do in the bookbindery if you've the skill. Return the unsorted books to their proper shelves. Bind some of the new books, which requires craftsmanship, or leave the
Ooh.
library. And you said, I'm still doing this? It's all me?
This is a whole encounter as you?
Of course I'm gonna bind some of the new books. That's 6203.
You know, I didn't believe you when you said you were all about books, but I stand corrected.
I'm a passionate man. The librarian shows you to the bookbindery, a side room where sheets upon sheets of loose paper lie carefully stacked, with glue and thread and boards and the other necessities of bookbinding close at hand. Settling down at the workbench, you carefully stitch together a completed manuscript. Once that's done, you glue the pages together inside a bracket of stiff boards and fasten a vise around the book while the glue sets. Finally, you wrap the whole thing in leather and burn the title into the cover with a hot iron. When the librarian sees your work, she seems impressed, nodding as she turns the book over and over in her hands. I'll always have work for you for someone of your skill, she says, passing you a handful of coins.
Sounds like she's flirting.
You each gain 25 gold if you have craftsmanship.
I think you're the only one with
I have
craftsmanship.
craftsmanship.
Oh, you do?
Oh,
So we get 50?
50, I guess.
yeah. So gold. It says you each gain 25 gold.
You
Yeah.
each gain 25 gold if you have craftsmanship
So
skill.
that's a weird way to put it because you each gain, but it's a shared
It is.
supply. But basically, so we get 25 per craftsmanship
Yeah.
person. So
Yeah.
50.
Did we get any experience after the last?
We did not. We got heroism, which when we fill heroism tracks gives experience.
Okay,
So
cool.
we almost got like a fraction of an experience, I think.
All right, 2 time passes. This encounter is complete.
2 time. Wow. You sure took your time in there.
Well, it takes a long time to make a good book. I'll tell you that much.
It is now evening. 5 time has passed.
Wow, that's...
Yeah. Lindsay, any updates on?
Yeah, so there's a lot going on. I'm not quite done. But so far what I found out is Apparently, Kyrick is correct, and what's her name? Regina is not the natural-born heir of Dragonholt. She is a bastard daughter of her father. So Kyrick technically should have had the correct claim, but the king chose her to rule because she saved the country when Kyrick wouldn't. And then Celise got drunk. She said that the hunter and his wife are both hot. And then
Sure.
she talked about instituting democracy into the world. And she's been talking
That will
that
never
over
work.
with. Well, apparently Regina doesn't like the idea of that because the heir needs to support not just the people of the country, but also the nobles of the barony and the baroness herself. And that meant it had to be someone with noble blood, with at least a nominal claim to the title. So one of her children are Kyrick. The other person who keeps popping up a lot, and I was trying to figure out if there are stables that we can visit. Because then one of the names that keeps popping up is Galvin, who is the stable boy, and she talks a lot about her horses and Galvin recommending a new horse. And then it just revealed recently that Galvin is a supporter of Kyrick, and again, she fell off her horse, so that might be a good person to talk to, but I don't see a stable.
Yeah, I feel like if the stables were somewhere we could go, this would have made it more obvious. Like if it was on like the Eastern Road
Yeah.
or something, I think you would have been told that pretty clearly.
Yeah,
So,
but I haven't quite
Okay.
finished, but that's kind of what I found so far.
So I'm thinking it actually might be too late. It's considered evening now, but well, I was gonna say we go to the market, but now maybe we go to
We
the
could
Chatty
probably
Archer
go to
to
the
try
Chatty
to
Archer.
follow up on this trinket.
I think that's
Yeah.
probably a good idea.
Now we've all taken an encounter, right? So we're all
Yep.
refreshed.
Mhm.
Since you're the archer, do you want to take the Chatty Archer?
Well, I feel like
Isn't
I
there a
should
reason? Yeah.
take the Chatty Archer.
Oh, you're the one with the trinket.
Yeah.
That's fair.
An archery butt lies under a maple tree outside this rustic lodge-style tavern. Several arrows are stuck within it, and others stand point down in the earth by the tavern's polished pinewood door. A strung bow hangs over the door, nestled under the awning to protect it from the elements. If 4 or more time has passed today,
It has.
read the entry below that corresponds to the current day. And we're on day 2, right?
Mhm.
A small group of women pass a horn of ale around as they throw darts at a wooden board. Occasionally, they burst out into peals of laughter for no obvious reason. I wonder if they had some of your mushrooms along with that beer.
Might have.
An elderly human man sits at the bar whittling as flakes of wood float to land on his legs and the floor beneath him. If this is your first time visiting this location while it's open, read entry 8752.
Did we catch his name? this morning?
Theo.
There were initials carved.
Yeah, that's how
Are
she
they his?
figured out that it was his.
Oh,
because
okay.
the T and the U, I think, were his initials.
Gotcha.
A tall human man with broad shoulders stands behind the counter polishing a mug. His sleeves are rolled up, revealing muscular arms. He looks up at the door as you enter and gives you a toothy grin and a friendly nod. "You new to Dragonholt?" asked the man behind the counter. "I don't reckon I've seen you before." He gives his mug a once-over and sets it on the lower shelf with others like it. Then he slings the drying cloth over his shoulder and steps towards you. "The name's Hunter. I'm the owner of this here drinking hole." That's the one who Sonia thinks is hot, and
Ooh.
his wife is apparently also hot.
Wait, yeah, 'cause didn't you describe it as a hunter and his wife?
I thought it was a hunter, but apparently it's
a person named
Hunter.
Hunter.
I thought it was just one of those typos that are very common in this thing,
yeah.
but apparently not. You introduce yourself and glance around the room before taking a seat. There are patrons at several of the tables, men and women enjoying food, drink, and banter. Others are sitting at the bar engaged in conversation with a human woman behind the counter. Besides you sits an elderly human man whittling a small wooden duck. "You look like the adventurous type. Me and my wife Letty used to do some adventuring before settling down and opening up this place."
We know what type of adventuring that was.
Hunter gestures to the woman behind the counter. She smiles and waves. "Oh, sorry, her name is Lee, L-E-I. Lee can fix you up something to eat if you're peckish. Just shout at us if you need anything." "Oh ho, adventuring, eh?" exclaims the older man sitting behind you, or beside you. "I had myself many adventures in my day. Spent much of my youth making day trips to Eventide Forest. Though back then it wasn't as dangerous as it is now." The old man blows on his whittled duck, removing excess wood shavings. If Storyport V6 is marked, which it is, because that's the
meaning
Celise one,
Celise, yeah.
6622. "Is that right?" asked Hunter. "Tell us about it, Theo." The tavern owner sets a small bowl of nuts in front of you as the older man begins to tell the story about climbing trees in the forest. You can tell immediately the story will last some time. Hunter leans over to the counter and whispers to you, "Don't mind old Theodore. He just likes to tell his stories to anyone who'll listen. Can't tell if he forgets he's already told the stories, or if he just likes telling them again." Are you Theo?
I was wondering the same thing.
Listen to Theo's story, order something to eat, or leave the chatty archer. I'm going to listen to Theo's story. 3, 2, 3,
Let's
1.
do it.
Theodore goes off on a long and winding story about his youth, playing in the village on the edge of Eventide Forest. The mill pond there, where the river flows out of the forest, was where we used to spend most of our time. We would catch frogs and then hide them where the girls would find them, just to watch them shriek. Theodore bursts out laughing, shaking his head. Ha ha ha. There was one girl, though, Ursula. That's the you, I'm guessing.
Oh.
She never let our pranks frighten her. She gave it as good as she got. I loved that girl, but I never could tell her that. I used to write her letters and love poetry, but I could never give them to her. I took them to the Tree of Tales instead, out in the forest, and asked the spirits to bring us together. One time I gave her a little wooden badger I'd carved. Told her that it reminded me of her because she was fierce, too. I don't think she liked that. Let that be a lesson to you.
The women don't like badgers, huh?
Also, they don't like creepy men giving them attention when they're not interested, which I think is what's actually going on
You
here.
don't know Dragonholt.
I kinda
Dragonholt could be way different.
I think if it had just been not a badger, he would have been good.
Yeah, okay.
I know a lot about courting women, okay?
All of it. If you're going to compare a girl to an animal, choose something more majestic than a badger.
See?
But that was the closest I ever got to telling her how I felt. Just because that's how he interprets it doesn't mean that that's how it is. And also, as a Hufflepuff, I think badgers are very majestic. Theodore sighs. Reminds me of a story. I could either continue listening to Theodore, show him the wooden trinket I found, or leave before he starts telling another story.
Anything but continue listening.
1390.
Yeah, some old people are really boring.
Yeah, they keep telling the same stories over and
But other ones
over
are
and
just so
over
cool.
and over and over. When you show Theodore the trinket you found in Eventide Forest, his story trails off and dies in his throat. "My word," he says, taking it from you with trembling hands. He peers down at the wooden badger, seeming to see it more with his fingers than with his watery eyes. "This is the very one, the one I gave to Ursula when we were both so very young." A smile spreads slowly across his face, crinkling his wrinkles like withered apples. "It didn't have these letters carved into it then, though. T and U. Theodore and Ursula. You found this at the Tree of Tales?" Hand trembling, he reaches inside his sawdust-covered wooden coat and withdraws a letter, stiff and dry and crinkling with age and sealed with a dollop of red wax. "I think the spirit of the Tree of Tales is telling me that it's finally time. Why else would you bring this talisman into my hands? She must have carved our initials and placed it there herself." He looks down at the letter, smoothing it on the countertop in front of him. "Oh, but I still can't bear to face her. I feel like such a fool letting it go so long." He holds out the letter, his voice wavering. "Do you think you might deliver this to her for me? She shouldn't be hard to find. She's run the Countess in since her husband died." So I lose the item.
This is such fantasy game logic.
Yeah.
Like, now we're mailmen. Mail people.
I gain the love letter.
Oh, thank God.
We mark story point 03.
Okay.
We mark 1 progress in heroism.
Hey, all right.
Ooh.
And I think 1 time passes.
This day is flying.
Yeah, it really is. And this encounter is complete.
So, sorry, I missed. Do we know where she is?
The Countess Inn.
Oh. Should we go there?
Or do we want to go to the Drunken Hog?
Oh, just check out another bar while it's open?
While it's open.
I think we're coming up on the end of another day. Do we want another sleep now? If we can find a way to get out the door to a quest, I think I'd like to. But we don't know if that's where this goes.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately,
it seems to be more of a thread than just going to the Drunken Hog so that you can perform.
That's a made up thread. So,
I
as much as I'd like to do it, this unrequited love must be resolved.
Again, it seems like she's moved on.
Yeah.
She got married. He did not. He still talks
He
about
wrote
her.
a letter.
Well, why don't I go next and I'll do the Countess in?
Can I give you the love letter so that you have it?
You can transfer these anytime. And the Countess Inn is
4200.
Thank you. Oh, this book is starting to
Uh-oh.
Come apart.
just the spine.
Shane
of the
did
book, yeah.
Damn it, Zadie.
I've got craftsmanship. I can fix that for you.
A painted sign showing a woman's profile with a silver coronet adorns this two-story building. The ground floor is of pale red stone, while the upper story is a sprawling half-timber affair, hanging over the entrance and supported by thick wooden posts. Flower boxes filled with colorful flowers are arranged between the support beams. If this is our first time visiting this location, it is, right?
I think so.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so 8742. The Countess Inn's common room is hung with old, faded banners, most showing some variant of a black and white dragon crest, the coat of arms of the various rulers of Dragonholt going back generations. The far wall is painted with an expansive mural, showing a large tree that you take to be the great oak at the heart of Eventide Forest, its boughs enfolding the figure of a green-eyed woman wearing a silver coronet, presumably Countess Regina. The patrons in the common room are a collection of men and women of various races, all in their middle or later years, well-to-do judging from their clothing. They talk quietly in small groups or sit reading or napping by one of the two hearths on either side of the room. You find yourself matching their demeanor, walking more carefully, lowering your voice, almost without meaning to. An elderly woman in a green dress sits at a table directly beneath the painted tree and waves you over as soon as she catches your eye. "Welcome to the Countess Inn," she says in a hushed tone. "You must be new to the village. I'm Ursula. If there's anything you need, don't hesitate to ask me or my daughter." She motions toward a slender, almost ethereal woman in her middle years carrying a tray through the common room. "Pretty young thing, isn't she? The only one of my children left. The others have all moved away." If story point 03 is marked, which it is, I think we just marked it, 7276. You offer the sealed envelope to Ursula, and she begins to smile as soon as she sees the handwriting on the outside. "Oh, lady's grace," she breathes. "Theo, you damn fool. Took you long enough."
I was wrong.
You lose the love letter.
Oh.
Oh.
See, it was just the badger. I know women.
You've never known a woman a day in your life.
She breaks the seal and spreads the letter on the table before her.
Oh, don't break the seal.
"Candle, girl, candle," she says, and her willowy daughter brings a candle in a silver holder.
No wonder all her other daughters left.
Placing it on the table to cast its light on the letter, Ursula reads carefully, tears beating in the corners of her eyes. Then she stands, presses the letter to her heart, and closes her eyes. "I have something for you," she says, and steps through a door almost invisible under the mural's paint. A moment later, she returns holding a time-worn cloth doll that she cradles with obvious affection.
I don't want it.
It's not,
Sounds scary.
it's not up to you.
Okay.
I like dolls.
It's not for you. Wait, what?
The doll is being given to me here.
I know, but I like dolls. Is the weird part.
Grand landowner also is a doll owner.
Do you have a room of just like creepy dolls with dead eyes?
Yeah, and I Instagram them.
Yeah,
All
it's
the time.
The Annabelle room.
Follow them at Thran's Dolls. At Thran's Dolls.
That's at Thran's Dolls on Instagram. A moment later, she returns holding a time-worn cloth doll that she cradles with obvious affection. "My mother made this doll for me when we first came to Dragonholt. I had no friends then, you see, so she told me the doll would keep me from being lonely, and it has for all these long years." She reaches out and places it all in your hands. Its colors are fading, but its stitches still hold true. Something about its crooked face seems welcoming. "I don't need this anymore. I won't be lonely. I want you to have it. Maybe you can find some other poor lonely child in need, as you seem to be going about doing good deeds. You gain the creepy doll." No, I'm just kidding. You gain the cloth doll.
Wait.
Item R.
So, if I remember correctly, we've already kind of gone down this path. The baker's daughter needed
Yeah.
a doll and we repaired it.
Yep. That.
So this was a waste of time.
Wait, because we repaired her
Yeah,
doll?
we
You think
were-
this is all a waste because...
I think Shane, as a craftsman, repaired the doll she already had, or you had the option of giving her this doll. So I think we've already gone down
No,
this
this
path.
is
Well-
a different girl.
Hmm.
Isn't it?
You're probably right.
Here
Sounds
we
like
go,
you're the
so-
only one who remembers this.
We marked story point K8. We
Or
marked
our
one,
viewers at home.
one progress in heroism.
That's good.
She sighs and settles down again in her seat. "I shall have to think about how to respond to Theo. Might be fitting to let him stew a week or two. But in the meantime, is there anything I could
Women.
do for you? We can get something to eat, requires you to each spend 5 gold. Or we can leave the Countess Inn." I'm leaning towards leaving. I think we're going to end up sleeping again.
Yeah, so we don't really
And
need food.
weirdly, sleep means no need for food.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Because we only have one stat, it's stamina. Okay, so I'm going to say leave, time passes, and the encounter is complete. So we're up to 7 out of 8 time. Huh, yeah,
I remember
we did fix...
pretty specifically fixing a little girl's doll. And there being the option of giving her one or fixing it.
So what do we do now?
So just so you guys
now
know,
we have a doll and explosives.
I don't know where he is or how we find him, but Galvin definitely killed Sonia.
Oh!
I'm almost positive because, so again, he supports Kyrick and Sonia confided in him a couple of times. And then on the last entry, the second to last entry, she mentions that her normal horse is pregnant. So she's stuck with a new horse for the foreseeable future, but Galvin assures me that I'll be fine. And then her last entry says, Galvin offered to saddle my horse for me today. How nice. Usually he insists we all do it ourselves because if you can't saddle a horse, surely you can't ride her. And this is after Sonia refused Kyrick. Kyrick wrote her back threatening her. And so she sent another refusal. So,
yeah,
Galvin's shady.
But
I
we
just
still
don't know where he
where to
is.
find him.
My guess would be at Fairfax Manor.
Yeah.
That's where the stable is.
It is possible that we need to run out the clock. Like, there is a passage street at the end of each day.
Yeah, because
So,
this took place at Fairfax Manor, so that would be where I would suggest trying to find him.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that also where we sleep?
It is like...
No.
No, that's at the Swan, I think. It is late night, so I don't know if now...
I mean, we can go to the Drunken Hog.
I think we go to the Drunken Hog and use our evening more effectively.
Let's do it.
All right.
That is 3,500.
The Drunken Hog is marked by no sign, save for a discarded oak hogshead. The building is low and square, its entrance sunken below the street and barred by a door black with grime. Its windows are greasy wax paper, and the entire building seems like it hasn't been cleaned since it was built. If 5 or more time has passed today, read the entry below that corresponds to the present day. That's the second day, right?
Yeah, day 2.
All right. An old human man is holding court by the hearth. His leg
there's
propped
old
up.
men. This place is crawling with old men.
Well,
Yeah.
this is perfect for me because I
Old
love
human
talking to
men.
old men.
Yeah.
An old human man is holding court by the hearth, his leg propped up on a stool as he gesticulates with his pipe. The leg, you see, is carved from wood and chipped and splintered in places, and the hand holding the pipe is missing 2 fingers. Meanwhile, a tall man and gnome are having what seems to be an old argument by the bar. If this is your first time visiting this location while it's open, 6166.
I think it is.
Yeah, they wouldn't let us day drink yesterday.
It's bullshit. The Drunken Hog's common room is long and narrow, its rafters too low and its windows too high and small. The dim lighting and rushes on the floor hide what you judge from the smell is a terrible conglomeration of sick and mess and spilled ale. None of the patrons seem in the least put out by the squalor, and the room is full of raucous celebration and surly solitary alcoholism in equal measure. Against the long east wall lies a counter of rough-hewn wood, as much palisade as bar. Behind it stands a gaunt orc woman, her cheeks marked with scars too regular to be accidental. At the counter leans a tall human man with broken veins and the red flush of alcohol coloring his speech. A short but heavy-muscled gnome man perches atop a stool close at hand. They appear to be locked in an argument. "I'm telling you, Thelga, there's no such thing as gnomes," says the human man to the orc. The orc woman raises an eyebrow and nods her head towards the gnome. Right? Yeah, he's clearly a gnome. Sitting right next to the human. "So what about Norman then? What's he? He even spells his name with a G." The gnome finishes his drink in one gulp. "Yeah, man! How do you explain me sitting right here if gnomes don't exist, man?" The human makes a face somewhere between offended and pity. "Don't be so hard on yourself, Norm. You're just short. No reason to call yourself a gnome." He pats the gnome, seriously, he has to be a gnome, on the shoulder. Norman brushes the human's hand aside. "Gnome isn't an insult, it's my race," he explains, shaking his head. "All right, what about Sapphire? Or the new girl, Sapphire's niece? He trails off, snapping his fingers for a moment. "Miriam!" "Mariam," corrects the orc woman. The human man looks almost shocked. "Who? The little one that just came into town with the orc? She can't be more than a decade old. What are you on about?" I swear, Reginald, you're just impossible to deal with. He slaps 2 coins in the bar. I need another drink, Thelga. This idiot is too much. The orc woman behind the bar chuckles and pours him another mug of ale, then pockets the coins.
This feels so real to me. Traveling with Sadie Redbeard.
Eat, drink, and engage in tavern banter. That would require us to spend 5 gold each, or we can leave the Drunken Hog. I think it makes sense to stay. We have no idea what
else is there to do late at night? Yeah.
If we go,
we've already been the Chatty Archer.
Yeah. Okay, so that
20
costs us
gold.
20. We're down to 155.
2038. I wasn't terribly consistent with those voices, but I'll get there.
Keep practicing. The rest of us are naturals.
Yeah.
So natural. Oh.
Oh.
You approach the bar and order refreshments. Thelga, the orc bartender, pours you a drink in a chipped wooden cup and ladles out a helping of stew atop a slice of stale bread in a wooden trencher. Only the best, she says in a leaden voice. Let's try that again. Only the best, she says in a leaden voice.
That's a lady voice?
Lady orc,
That's true.
remember.
Yeah.
You each recover 2 stamina.
Huh, I'll take it.
Oh yeah, well, you're actually healed. I think all of the rest of us are not garbage, and we're already fully healed.
Wow. I beat the Goblin King.
You did not. Beat
Actually, I'm
me.
fairly certain that was Ryan.
Yeah, I wasn't you. You eat and drink, and find the food improves as you drink. The crowd continues to argue and boast all around you. Read entry 7622. At the bar, Reginald continues in his incoherent insistence as to the non-existence of gnomes. Norman, for his part, seems to have put that argument aside in favor of trading boast with an old human man missing several of his fingers. The stories and rumors the two of them swap seem more than simply improbable. We can listen to rumors and stories, brag about your own adventures, argue with Reginald that gnomes exist, which actually requires you to be a gnome. Look
Is
for
anybody a gnome?
No.
No, none of us. Look for an excuse to start a tavern brawl or finish your meal alone. Has time pass and completes the encounter. Well, it's still me, right?
It
No,
is.
we should listen to rumors and stories.
Yeah,
right?
considering we're looking for our next quest.
I know
Start
you
a
want to
brawl.
brag about your own
Yeah.
adventures or start a brawl.
In my day,
Back in my
Thank
day.
you. In my day, though. In my day. You're lucky.
goblins were in mines.
I'll listen, but only because I have a history of endurance. One of the stories being traded across the smoky room catches your attention. It involves around a local hero, perhaps dating back to the Dragon Wars, who could fight dragons and win. I'm telling you, it's impossible, exclaims Norman. No one could fight a dragon and win. Not without magic, not even a big job. Hey, I never said it weren't with magic what he done it, says the old man with the missing fingers. This hero, a great and powerful magic what he had, like to freeze the dragon's fire in its very throat. If we had magic like that, the Dragon Wars would have gone very differently, observes Thelga. Definitely thought it was a different character saying that. If we had magic like that, the Dragon Wars would have gone very differently, observes Thelga.
Better.
Well, this fella done died, didn't he just? Says the tale teller, and his magic were buried with him, not far from this very spot.
Ooh.
More likely it died with him. You don't bury perfectly good magic, not when there are dragons to consider. Mayhap it were the dragons which buried him, suggests the old man. Certain his tomb is a haunted place now. When I've been there myself, have I? Just to the north of the village, it used to be. But that howling, it chill me bones.
I literally can't understand what you're saying.
To the
I
north
think
of the
that's
village.
I think that's accurate then to this scene.
More likely you heard the winds and made up the tome to make yourself feel better.
Okay, let me.
Scoffs Norman. Let's have another drink.
I think that is tomb, which I think is crucial.
Did I say tome?
Made up the tomb. You said a tomb
Made
another time too.
Up the tomb. You made up the tomb, not the tome. One's a book, kids, and one is a burial place.
Kids.
Also kids.
Kids. Yes. Certain his tomb is a haunted place now. Certain his tomb is a haunted place now.
A few more takes.
And may have it were the dragons who buried him, suggests the old man. Certain his tomb.
Take 23.
Mayhap it were the dragons who buried him. Certain his tomb is a haunted place now.
Can we
But I've
finish
been
our
there
dinner
myself,
alone?
had I? Just to the north of the village it be, but that howling, it chilled me bones. More likely you heard the wind and made up the tomb to make yourself feel better. Scoffed Norman. Let's have another drink. Mark story point B9. And
there are. It goes
Excuse
up to
me.
8.
B3.
Jim,
I'm sorry, I'm just
Are you
channeling the old
actually
man.
drunk?
I'm just channeling the old man so hard.
How many beer bottles are down there next to him?
There are
Oh,
0.
there's a lot.
There's I can't get up, frankly. Time passes.
That's you.
Okay.
So I guess we check that off. We can either find something else to occupy your time in the hog, which requires 7 or less time has passed today.
Oh.
Well, there we go.
So we can't.
Or we leave the drunken hog.
I think we gotta leave.
I think we have to leave.
Yeah, and that's the end of the day.
This encounter is complete.
So
Now,
8 time passed today. Day 2.
okay, go on.
We read entry 9330.
This is. I'm more and more starting to feel like we just got lucky the first day.
Finding that
Finding
quest so quickly.
So quickly.
Yeah.
Well, wait, we should probably record what the important things were. It was
Oh, I
north,
did.
right?
Buried
Oh, yeah.
magic near the Drunken Hog, north of the village, in a tomb.
I think that was likely.
In a tome?
Tomb.
Tomb.
I think we can likely go there and go on a quest now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
But let's see. So
But
9.
there's a couple of things that I think we can do tomorrow as well. Like get your sword
Mm-hmm.
Before we
and
head
go
out.
back to
Before we
Fairfax
go
Manor
out.
and accuse.
Oh, yeah, let's definitely pick up the sword. Agreed. You return to your room for the night. Despite the comforts of the Swan, you have a fitful rest, woken in the night by thunder. Heavy rain pelts your windows and strong winds rattle the shutters. Somehow you manage to fall asleep before dawn. You each recover 3 stamina. I don't know why
It's
you
literally
have a
just
character
you.
sheet, but that is just me. I'm
You're
finally
finally back.
healthy.
It only took a full day.
You each recover 1 skill. That would only be if we had gotten down to where our skills were
Yeah.
getting disabled. You each refresh your activation token. This chapter of the story ends here. When you're ready to begin the next chapter, read entry 5322. Okay, so this chapter does not end here. We're going to continue. You wake late the next morning to knocking on your door. Do we just wake late every morning?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're
To be
exhausted.
fair,
we've
we
been
were-
traveling around. We were at
Yeah,
the
we've
bar
been
for God
drinking.
knows how
Yeah,
long.
we got
listening
drunk.
to these drunken people talk.
Forgive the disturbance, dear, you hear Sapphire's voice say from the hall. Someone from the manor, from Countess Regina's household, has come to speak with you. You quickly dress yourself, and Sapphire leads you to a private sitting room where your guest is waiting for you. Timothy, the Countess's steward,
I like how we
fussing
just
in a ruffled
decided
yellow
that's
shirt.
how his name actually is pronounced.
Is this our first time actually meeting him?
No, we
No,
met
he's
him
okay.
back
yesterday.
there.
We've met him a bunch.
Thank you for seeing me, he says. I trust you are finding Dragonholt to your satisfaction. He stands and paces to a window, peering through it for a moment, then turning back to you. I shall skip past the pleasantries as I fear time may be of the essence. The Countess's son, Philip, is missing.
No, not Philip.
He was last seen yesterday, leaving for a day trip to visit the Tree of Tales in the forest with his manservant, Talbot. They rode 2 of her ladyship's best horses, and should have been gone and back in a handful of hours. Timothy sighs and dabs at his face with a lace handkerchief. The horses came back riderless early this morning.
Shit.
Timothy reaches to his belt and
What were we
places
doing? Getting drunk at the Drunken Hog?
Sleeping in late.
No, they came back this morning. We didn't.
Oh, I guess it's
When we were getting drunk, that we were perfectly justified. Timothy reaches to his belt and places a velvet bag on the table before him. It clinks. I wish to. The Countess wishes to contract your services. Philip must be found, but none of her ladyship's guards are. He pauses, picking his words. Ideally suited for such a task. Celeste recommended you specifically for this. Timothy slides the purse across the table to you. You gain 50 gold.
Oh,
Right now.
Yes.
205 is our total. This is an advance for any expenses that may accrue. The rest awaits the safe return of Regina's youngest child. Please, hurry. The family can only bear so much grief. Our options are, what do you mean so much grief? What can you tell me about Talbot? What can you tell me about Philip? Or say no more.
Who's Talbot? I think we should learn
Tal-
about Talbot. Because obviously, what do you mean such grief is the fact that Sonia also died.
Yeah.
And there's a lot about Timothy in here, or Philip in here, so.
I think.
So Talbot, who's
Talbot.
the manservant?
Yeah.
Okay, 5067. Talbot is a steady man and has been Philip's trusted servant these past 10 years. He was once a member of her ladyship's guard before an injury forced him to seek lighter duty. Timothy puffs out his chest. I was once a soldier, you know. Logistics. He pauses as if lost in memory for a moment, then returns his attention to you. In any case, Talbot is a good man and a personal friend. If any harm has befallen young Philip, you can rest assured it befell Talbot first. And then we can ask, what can you tell me about Philip, or say no more?
I think say no more.
Say no more.
You
All
don't
right.
think we want to know about Philip?
Philip is the youngest son. Sonia mentioned that so it's Sonia, Rochelle, and Philip. Rochelle is a knight, so Philip is the one who would have taken the throne, who is next in line for the throne after Sonia died.
Right.
Do you really think we're going to learn more than that from this?
I mean, it could be he likes to do X, Y,
I guess
or
it's
Z.
not like it's going to make time pass anymore. We might as well.
Fine. 72-44.
There might be some
I just
extra.
love hearing.
I like the
your
idea
and
of
Timothy's
being like,
voice.
say no more, and just going out. Philip is a darling lad. 13. No, I tell a lie. He has just celebrated his 14th name day. Sorry, I feel bad for you every time they talk about name days. He is bright and inquisitive, always reading books and telling stories. This trip of his to the Tree of Tales is just the sort of thing he does, you understand. Timothy smiles and shakes his head. He once brought home an injured bird and tried to get me to nurse it back to health. I have no idea how to care for a bird, of course, and neither did Philip. And so the bird died after only a few days.
Cool.
Poor thing. Philip cried and insisted we bury it beneath the family's apple tree in the orchard. It's the first third we've ever had for the orchard. The steward sighs and looks directly into your eyes. Please bring Philip home. So there is no marking a story point, which makes me think the bird in the orchard is not actually important.
No, I think the bird became a zombie, grew in the orchard, and now is terrorizing the city. They just don't realize it
I
yet.
think that the bird.
Yeah, because it's just one zombie bird.
Say no more.
Say no more.
43.
Let's go to the orchard.
It's just causing casual mischief.
You return to the common room to find Sapphire waiting to pounce. Well, she asks, what did the steward want? Was it about the Countess's son? He's missing, I hear. Tell me. You explain in brief terms what Timothy asked of you, while Sapphire fixes you a breakfast of oatcakes, butter, and a small basket of berries. That poor child, she adds when you finish both your meal and your story. Well, you might want to see my niece at her shop. She might have potions or something for you. Good luck. Philip is a good lad, and I'd hate to see him hurt. Then Sapphire is called away to deal with a new guest, and you walk out the front door of the Swan, still eating berries. This encounter is complete. When you are prepared to enter Eventide Forest, visit the dragon statues.
So
It says.
we have two ways we can go, it looks like.
Yeah, we have what we think was a quest kind of thread from the Drunken Hog. Is there a northern road?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
Do we want to go to the smithy really quick and pick up that sword?
I think that's the first thing we do, right?
yeah.
Do you want to lead that encounter?
Sure.
Also, I feel like the only thing we learned about Philip is that he's really bad at caring for other people and probably should not be king.
Good point.
Yeah.
Fiore is sitting on a bench not far from the front of the smithy, watching a blond dwarf man hammering on a piece of red-hot metal by the forge. When she sees you, she reaches for her crutch and hauls herself to standing. Welcome back, she says. It's finished. She walks to the brownstone annex and pulls a key from within her leather apron, then unlocks a heavy iron door. Wait here, she says, vanishing through it. A few moments later, she returns with a bundle wrapped in a red linen under her arm. Get the door, will you? She says as she carries it to her desk. She sets her crutch aside and unwraps the package, standing over her desk. I kept it simple, a classic thrusting sword design, full tang, of course, with a modest fuller. The haft is oak, wrapped with calfskin leather, and the pommel is brass. The crossguard is steel, the silver is just... This is like Santa's wish list.
Well, it's also just like, okay.
The silver is just the outer layer. She holds the sword up and presents it for inspection. Between the gleaming blade and the polished silver crossguard inlaid with gems, the whole thing shines in the light. The real trick is the rune shard, of course. It's set into the blade itself, with the crossguard helping to hold it in place. There's some bright mall silver worked into the blade of the sword, which, you got me going on. I'm not going to reveal all my secrets. Suffice to say...
Really? Because it sounds like you already did.
Suffice it to say, this sword will outlive you and any foe you wielded against. She takes a leather scabbard from one of her passing apprentices and offers it to you. Scabbard comes free. Use the sword well, my friend. It was a pleasure to make it. You gain the rune sword, item N.
Ooh.
All right.
Mark story point R5.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Time passes. Rune sword. You hear a low hum while holding the blade that seems to guide your strikes. You have dueling skill and military skill as long as you carry this sword.
Oh, so
No.
then Shane shouldn't have it.
That's
Neither-
actually
neither really should you,
Yeah,
because
to
you
go to
have
Brandon maybe
dueling.
because you don't have either, right?
I keep finding myself in situations that I'm woefully unprepared for.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
does that qualify me?
Yes.
Military would be good for you to have, because I feel like you've had at least one situation
So-
where you could have used military.
Well, I feel like it's always, well, brawling may or may not work, and then it always doesn't, and it's one of those other two, so at least
Right.
then you'll be prepared for any fighting.
Yes. All right. All of a sudden, I'm a fighter.
You have
Screw this guy.
You
We
have
can-
a purpose now.
we
That's
can-
good.
We can finally do the thing we've been dreaming of. Kill him.
Yeah.
Thank God.
We don't need him.
Why don't we just leave him at the Drunken Hog? We don't actually have to murder
I've
him.
got stories to tell, all right? I've got knowledge that you don't even know about. What about history? Which of you
Yeah,
have
the drunken
history?
hog. The drunken hog seems
The
like
history-
Well, or we could just put him with Theo and have them
Do you
chat
have
back and
military?
forth all
You
night.
got military now. What about craftsmanship?
All right.
So-
What's next?
We can shop more, so this encounter is complete.
Okay.
And does time pass, though?
Not any more than what did before.
Yeah, time did pass.
Time passed when we got the sword.
So I feel like we have three options.
Yeah.
Dragon statue.
Dragon statues,
North
Northern
Road.
Road, Fairfax Manor. I
What
think
was
that
the dragon statues?
I
finding
mean,
Philip.
Fairfax Manor may develop the journal story, but I'm ready to do a quest.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only one that seems like we know for sure is going to be a quest is the dragon statues.
Right.
I think that's why I vote dragon statues.
I'm same.
Back to the forest so soon.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Okay. Shane, want to take us to the dragon
I
statues?
would love to.
1590.
Watch, he's gonna take us on a detour to some bar.
It's
Tell him
It's
his
not all
confess.
bars. We might just need to gather some herbs and berries.
We already ate all the mushrooms.
We're at the drunken dragon statues.
Two massive dragon statues tower over the western road like an archway. One statue is carved from black stone, the other from white, and they are positioned to look as if they are dueling. The statues are the closest thing Dragonholt has to a town gate. Let's see, what day? It's day 3, and story point A4 is marked. Which A4 is
No, it's
not. Oh,
That's probably what we'll mark after this encounter.
okay. It says if it is day 3 and story point A4 is marked, if it's day 3 and story point A4 is not marked,
That's us.
all right, 9978. You pass beneath the twin dragon statues and begin your hike towards Eventide Forest. You turn back once as you go, in time to see a cloud pass across the sun and cast the statues into shadow.
Ominous.
If 5 or more time has passed today,
Nope.
otherwise this encounter is complete.
Wait, what?
Go on.
Read entry 1005 in the Whispering Leaves quest book.
Okay.
I like to leave people in a state of suspense. 1005 in Whispering Leaves.
We
I didn't mark that on that.
yes, let me mark that here. Whispering Leaves.
So we have to go during the day. I guess it's good that we set out there right away.
All right. Well, I didn't expect it to take a day and a half, but we found a quest.
Yeah, that took longer than I
It
expected.
did, yeah.
Maybe 2.5 quests.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
it took a lot of time, but we have a lot of leads now.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a couple, right? So we can
So
next
we
time we
might-
get back to town, we can just head back out if we want.
Unless you only have 2 stamina left again.
Valid point.
Now that he has military and dueling skill, he's gonna
I'm-
kick some butt.
Unstoppable now. Definitely I was gonna say unvincible.
Unvincible?
Yeah, I'm unvincible.
That's the word?
I'm
That's
I'm unstaminaable. So thank you for watching. We'll be back again sometime soon to head out back to the forest. Until then, be optimal.